Thank you, Senator Sessions. Mr. Chairman, thanks for having this hearing. I'm hoping that this hearing will establish the need for in-country processing, as the administration has established that program in December of 2014, so as to uphold the rule of law, the rules that apply to young people coming to this country under established standards and criteria that have been followed and applied outside of the United States for young people coming to this country. We can talk about the abstract principles and rules that are at stake here, but this issue has a human face. More than 1,000 children were murdered in Honduras in 2014 alone. I spoke just this morning to a woman named Berta Cáceres, who has fought valiantly for environmental protection in that country and faces threats and intimidation from a regime that she understandably and rightly regards as oppressive. The conditions there are life-threatening, not only to people who speak their minds and speak truth to power, but also children who are innocent victims of gang warfare and lack of protection that is beyond their choice or control. 724 such children were murdered in El Salvador. 156 in Guatemala were murdered just in the first 3 months of this year. These numbers are stark statistics, but they constitute some of the highest homicide rates in the world, and too often the governments in question fail to prevent this violence. The Obama administration's Central American Migrant Program may help a few hundred of these children. So far, not a single child has even been processed, not to mention rescued. And here we are in this forum holding a hearing on whether the United States is doing too much to save these children, whether we're doing too much when thousands are dying as a result of murder, oppression, and brutality. That is a shame. I submit to you that no country has ever felt ashamed for doing too much to save children. And there's a long list of nations, including our own, that have felt deep remorse for doing too little. The Central American Migrant Program that we're discussing here unquestionably has its flaws. But there is no argument that it does too much to save children or helps too many people or rescues too many victims of oppression. That argument simply cannot be made. Or that it enables or has enabled people to come flowing into this country without the rule of law, without principles. The Central American Minor Program focuses on a relatively narrow group of children who have ties to the United States. Every one of these children eligible for the program has a parent living legally in the United States. Every one of them qualifies for protection under U.S. law. Every one of them will pass in-depth background checks, including a DNA test. The lives saved by this program effectively come at no cost to the United States. The program doesn't raise federal spending by $1, not a single dollar. Every dime spent on it has already been appropriated. Nor does this program increase by a single person the number of refugees who will be allowed in the United States. It's just a question of where they are processed. Every slot reserved for a Central American minor has already been approved through the process Congress created. I know we're going to hear testimony today discussing the legal scope of refugee protections. That's a legitimate set of issues. Witnesses are going to debate what Congress intended in the somewhat opaque, one might say abstruse, language of immigration law. My personal view is that President Obama has been true to the letter and the spirit of this law. And I think, with all due respect, arguments saying he's violating the law are unfounded. But behind all these legal arguments, and I'll just close on this note, behind every one of the legal issues, there is a bigger question. Does the United States do everything it reasonably can to save children? And I've seen them at the border. Children who cannot speak English, who are tall enough barely to answer questions from a Border Patrol inspector seated while he interrogates them. Children who are literally escaping. They're not coming here to take jobs. They're not coming here to fill jobs that some American would take. They're not coming here because they want food stamps or any other benefits, Medicare, Medicaid. They are coming here to escape oppression, brutality, murder, rape, and they're seeking hope, security, and they have a special tie to our country. So that's the central question before us today. And the answer is central to who we are as a people, who we are as an American people, whether we will afford that kind of safety to young people fleeing oppression and brutality, processed not here, but in those countries where they are actually experiencing it. I hope that this nation gives the right answer. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.